Dozens of people are searching for a missing hiker in the gorge.
21-year-old Riley Zickel set out on an overnight hike by himself.
Colorado County Sheriff's Office is searching for a missing hiker on the Olympic Peninsula.
John and Trevor Higgins, the father and son, were last seen Friday. They disappeared while hunting near Bear Camp Road above Agnes.
21-year-old Riley Zickel, the senior at Lewis and Clark College, disappeared.
An emotional plea from friends of a woman who is missing right now in the Skamania County wilderness. She's 19 years old, Maureen Kelly.
Searchers are looking for a 76-year-old farmer who did not come back from mushroom hunting near Grangeville.
Hello everybody, and welcome back to the Pacific Northwest Missing Persons Project. I'm your host, Tanner Hoskins, Executive Director here at Pacific Northwest Missing Persons Project. Before we get into today's story, I have two things to share with all of you. The first is that we are officially, in the eyes of the state of Oregon, a public benefit non-profit organization, Pacific Northwest Missing Persons Project. Or if you're on Google, you can type in PNWMPP, our abbreviation. It'll take you straight to our website where you can find more information about what we do to raise awareness and what we do in the field searching for these missing individuals. The second big story that we have to share with all of you is that we had the distinct honor and privilege of taking two of the best journalists from the Oregonian on a camping trip into Gifford Pinchot National Forest over the weekend of June 14th to June 16th. What exactly we discussed and what exactly was documented is something that will have to remain under wraps until they release their article sometime in July. But you can be sure that once that article is shared, we will also have it posted on our website and on our social media for you to be able to find and check out. And today's podcast is going to focus in on three strange disappearances that occurred near Nez Perce Clearwater National Forest in Idaho County, Idaho. The first story is that of James Francis Schroeder. Mr. Schroeder was a 22-year-old male from Wisconsin that traveled with two of his friends to the area of Lake Louise near Fenn Mountain to hunt elk on September 25th of 1982. Mr. Schroeder had, for some reason, decided to separate from the rest of his hunting party and went out to hunt alone. Mr. Schroeder had left his hat, coat, map, compass, and other personal belongings back at camp. As the day wore on, Mr. Schroeder failed to return to camp and has not been seen or heard from since. Mr. Schroeder's other hunting companions took about 2 days to look for him themselves, but unfortunately, within 48 hours of Mr. Schroeder's disappearance, a strong winter storm with heavy rain and heavy snow impacted the area. It is believed that Mr. Schroeder became lost or injured while hunting and either died from those injuries or succumbed to the frigid elements that engulfed the area. Unfortunately, there is no clothing description or description of what kind of weapon Mr. Schroeder was carrying at the time. I wish I could provide you more information on this, but neither Mr. Schroeder nor the hunting rifle that he had with him have ever been located. We have a truly perplexing story for you, one that seems almost impossible to unravel. This is the case of Connie Marie Johnson, a 76-year-old woman who disappeared under very strange circumstances. Connie was no ordinary senior citizen. With her short blonde hair and signature glasses, she spent over 25 years as a forest ranger for the U.S. Forest Service. Her expertise in wilderness survival was unmatched. More recently, she worked as a camp cook for an outfitter company that organized hunting trips deep into the Idaho wilderness. One such camp that Connie was working in can only be reached on foot or by horseback, roughly 14 miles from any part of civilization, deep in the wilderness of Idaho County, Idaho. The base camp that Connie was working at on October 2nd of 2018 is nestled near Fog Mountain in the Big Rock area. Extremely remote and rugged terrain. On October 2nd of 2018, Connie stayed behind at the base camp while the rest of the hunting party went out for the day. She wasn't alone, though. Her loyal black and white border collie, Ace, was by her side. The next day, on October 3rd, Connie made a radio call to her hunting party. But, unfortunately, her message was unclear and very difficult for them to understand. When the group returned to base camp on October 5th, both Connie and Ace were gone. Connie's jacket and her firearm were left on a table. At the same time that the hunting party returned to camp and realized that Connie was missing, a second very strange incident was unfolding less than 30 miles away, also on October 5th of 2018. Terrance Woods, a 26-year-old production assistant from Maryland, was filming a documentary about abandoned gold mines. For some reason, Terrance inexplicably, and without any known reason or warning, turned away mid-conversation with a coworker and sprinted off into the woods, heading down a very steep hillside. Terrance Woods' coworkers said that there was no warning of why he ran the way he did, but they tried to pursue and keep up with him, but they failed to find any sign of him when they got to the road at the bottom of the hill. They said his tracks simply ceased. Search and rescue teams immediately deployed to the area. The same county search and rescue and the same Forest Service search and rescue teams were now working 2 simultaneous cases. Despite their extensive experience and the urgency of the situation, by October 11th, they had scaled back the search for Terrance Woods due to a lack of any good leads. The team that had split off from Connie's original search and rescue then resumed their search for Connie. But unfortunately, on October 16th, the efforts were officially called off. 3 weeks later, Connie's dog Ace was found near the Moose Creek Ranger Station, roughly 15 miles from the hunting camp. Yet, there was no trace of Connie. It's hard to imagine what could have happened to Connie. With all of her survival skills, with all of her knowledge of the wilderness, what could have happened at that base camp that she would have left her jacket and her firearm behind if she had planned to voluntarily leave the campsite? What could have happened that caused Ace to end up so far from their camp? And why, to this day, is there no sign of Connie? These questions leave us utterly bewildered. Nothing about Connie's disappearance aligns with what we know that an experienced forest ranger should have done. This remains to be one of the strangest cases I have ever found. And the same can be said about Terrance Woods. What could cause 2 adult human beings to simply run away from their safety, to leave everything behind and just enter the forest? What could cause that? There is no doubt that both of these cases are truly bizarre. All right, that's our podcast for this week. We hope that you've enjoyed it, and we hope, as always, that before you go out into the wilderness of the Pacific Northwest, you become familiar with the individuals that are missing in the area you plan to recreate in. You never know when you might stumble across something that brings answer or closure to a grieving family. Thank you.